Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Unit 5 lesson on harmonic dictation. For this unit, we're keeping it actually relatively simple. There's nothing new to learn. We're just going to combine and broaden our scope. So let's jump into it. If you'll remember, last week we had, or for the last unit, we completed the chord progression chart, right? And to add on to what we have here, so the 5 can go to the 7 can go to the 5, and they can both go to 1. And this together makes up tonic expansion. Then we have our predominants, where these are all interchangeable. They can go to each other. So 6 can go to 4, 4 can go to 2, 2 can go to 6, 2 can go to 4, etc. and so on. So that massively broadens the scope for the predominant. And we added on the alternative opening. So the 3 can go to the 4, or the 6, and the 3 is really our most limited chord. And then again, the 6 can go to the 5, and the 5 can go to the 6, and when the 4 is over here, it's alternative opening, and when the 6 is over here, it's predominant. Okay, good. Now take a deep breath. What we're going to do this week is we're going to start to smash together the alternative opening and tonic expansion. So we could have tonic expansion followed by alternative opening, or alternative opening followed by tonic expansion, and somewhere in there. And then the other thing that we're going to add on just a little bit of is that 4 can now go to 1. Not really in a cadence. So the final cadence is still going to be 5, 1. We're going to add in, it could be like a 5, 6, 5 to 1, or a 5, 4, 3. But 4, if it's in the middle, if it's in a tonic expansion or alternative opening situation, actually, which is what it would be, the 4 can go to the 1. So that's another possibility. All right, so let's go over to Aurelia and dig into it, and we will probably come back to this as we go. And again, for this unit, you will also have access to this practice. So after you watch the video, I encourage you to go through and try it again on your own. Okay, so first harmonic dictation, then we'll do another video for melodic dictation. Okay, so a little bit of a change in the instructions this week. It's a lot simpler. So highlight the first chord of the predominant section and the first of the dominant section. So 2 chords total. So you're going to listen. You're going to do all of your mapping on your paper. Okay. But we're going to only be doing a couple of things in the mapping. And let's set our, so there we go. So I can hear chord quality more than bass, I turn part 1 up and the bass down. Now, one thing you might want to try doing during this mapping section, if you have enough listenings, is taking a minute to listen, to take a preliminary listening for the bass and then turn it back down and then do the chords, and see if you can try going back and forth and see if that helps you figure out what is going on where. Okay, so you'll want to map out all of the information you can about the progression, and make a note of where it sounds like tonic expansion and where it sounds like an alternative opening. Okay, so here we have the Aurelia question, and then I've pulled up a piece of staff paper to kind of show you the process, and I've made 12 lines. And let's go through this together. So let's listen just once, just to get the sense of it. Okay, let's listen again. Let's say if you hear, circle where you think you hear the predominant chord and where you think you hear the dominant chord or chords. That can actually be your very first listening. Is like, is there 1 or 2? Are there 1 or 2 dominant chords? It's an easy thing to listen for. And I'll actually say, let's say that we did that. There's only 1. So your dominant chord is here. So let's see if there's 1, 2, or 3 predominants. You're not going to have more than 3 predominants as of right now. Okay, and then if you hear any dominant sounding chords in the progression leading up to the predominant chord, go ahead and mark that in. Okay, so I heard something that sounded a bit like a tonic here, which means that your predominant would start here. It felt a little cadency in here. Not quite the kind of cadence that we're used to, but kind of like a cadence. Okay, and then there was one dominant chord here. Okay, so let's do what we have to do. So all we have to do is highlight the first predominant chord and the first dominant chord. So our first predominant is the 4th from the end, and then our first dominant is here. I need to update the instructions, and I don't think I'm going to do this for your homework. I just don't think I'll have time to set it up, but this is a newer feature within the program where you can do the bass and the chords at the same time. So we are going to do it combined here, and I'll show you a bit on the worksheet too. But for your homework, you won't have that. It'll remain separate. Okay, unless you're watching this in a couple years, and then I may have updated it. Okay. Let's see. So first, let's set up our worksheet. We have E flat major. It could be E flat or C, and we start in E flat, so it's E flat major. Okay, so let's listen for, we are going to end on Do. Okay, so your last chord is going to be Do. It could be up here or it could be down here. And then this is probably Sol, but now it could be T or Re, probably T or Re. Okay, but more than likely it's going to be Sol. So let's listen and see what we have. First, I'm going to adjust the parts so the bass is bumped up. Okay, so what we know is that our bass actually, we end down here. And I heard a Sol Do. And let's take another listen and see if we can gather some notes going on here. Now, remember your predominant here is here, and you have a cadence sounding thing. So probably a tonic there, probably a Do. And then here it's probably Fa, Re, or La, or these 3 notes are going to be Fa, Re, or La. Keep that in mind. And if we have a dominant sound here, then we have the solfege just going to be Sol, Ti, Re, or Fa. Let's listen again. Here, between the first and second chord, we do have a skip to La, which suggests that it's going to a 6th chord. So we now no longer need the 3 to get to the 6. It's another thing about jamming these two things together. So it goes do to la, and then it just moves down by step. Do, la, sol, fa, mi. And let's give it one more listen see if you can get the rest of this. Okay, so here we have a repeated note. So mi, mi, and then goes up by step to fa. And then here it's kind of a weird jump, but it's jumping down. So we know that because this is some kind of tonic chord and it's a leap, it has to be going to do, right? If it was stepping, it would go to mi. If it was leaping, it would go to do. Now, again, this is kind of weird, right? We have fa to do. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so it goes fa, do, and then we get to our predominance. It leaps up to fa again. If you can hear that going back and forth, do, 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 fa, and then it skips up to la, and then down to do and sol. So let's finish it, add that into Aurelia. Okay, let's talk about the chords. So we know we start on 1. And then this, do to la, is most likely a 6, but it could also be a 4/6. Sol, can 6 go anywhere besides 5? No, so that has to be a 5. A could be a 4. So fa could be a 4, but not after a 5, or it could be a 5/4/2. And it also could not be a 2/6. So right here, so look, so we have a bit of an alternative opening, and now we are getting into tonic expansion. So we put on the tonic expansion rules. A 5 has to go to 5 or 1. And then here we have a 1, so that would make this a 1/6. Cannot be a 3. Here, this, however, mi could be another 1/6. Probably not very likely. What's more likely is that it is a 3, and we're going back into our alternative opening functionality. Okay, 3 has to go to 4 or 6. Fa has to be 4, and then 4. Remember how I said 4 could go to 1? 4 here is going to 1, and then we have our predominant. So we have fa, which could be a 4 or a 2/6. And then la could be a 6, or it could be a 4/6. And then here we have a 5 with maybe a 7 to a 1. Okay, so let's take a listen to what could be going on. Okay, so your questions again are, we know this is a 1. Is this minor or is it major? Is it major or dominant for 5 or 5/7? We know this is a 5/4/2. We know this is a 1/6. This is probably a minor 3, but you can confirm it by, is it minor and major? We know this is a 1. And then here, is this major or minor, minor or major? Okay. And then does this have a 7th on it? So let's take another listen. So let's go through and talk about this. So this here is minor. This does not have a seventh. These two are indeed minor to major. Here we have minor to major. So it's two first inversion chords and predominance in a row. And here there is no seventh. Let's plug that in and see if we're right. Okay, let's see what we've got. Good. And now let's listen to it one more time and you can see the chords. A couple things to point out. 1, 6 going to 3, you'll notice only one note changes, which is, it sounds almost like the same chord, but if it were a 1, 6 going to 1, you would have it would sound exactly the same, or you would hear a big jump of notes going to other voices. So like of all of these notes leaping down to the next setting. You also may have heard that this sounded kind of weird here, right? The 4, 6 going to the 5. It's a little bit more unusual than what we heard. So you probably picked up on that, and let's listen. Okay, that's it. So head over to Aural, you can do this practice exercise, and then you'll do the homework, and I'll see you in the Unit 5 melodic dictation video. Okay, talk to you guys then. Bye.